It feels great, you know. 28th fight, not including the fights on Ultimate Fighter, but 28th, you know, 28th's a good number, and that's almost about how many pounds he had me by after the fight. He weighed in at 195. I weighed in at 173.5 after the fight. 22 pounds I was at a deficit, but you know, it ain't the size of the dog, it's the fight in the dog, and I have a lot left in me.
Diego, yesterday he kissed you on the nose at the weigh-ins. What was kind of your reaction to that, and did it kind of fire you up more for today?
You know, I've been getting asked this a lot, and I had a lot of my friends text messaging me being like, Diego, he's just trying to get in your head. He's just trying to get in your head. Just stick to your game plan. And I was like, honestly, you know, he did me a favor. After all the fights I've been in, the losses that I lost, the KO losses, you know, the injuries, you know, the knee injuries when Marching Hell was trying to rip my leg off and left me with a knee injury, you know, just, you know, the hand injuries, all these injuries, you know, that come with it, you know, and the brain injuries are the worst, you know, getting cracked in the nose by Joe Lozon and breaking my nose, you know. I realized this is the sport of war, you know, so sportsmanship, and it doesn't really apply to this sport. We're warriors. We're straight up warriors. And you have to have in your mind's eye intention that I'm going out there to hurt this man. If you don't have it in your mind's eye to go out there and hurt that man, you're not going to go out there and hurt that man. You're going to go out there and try to play points. And then you get hurt, because that's what happened to me. So going into this fight, I had a little bit of my teammate rub off on me. You know, Platinum Perry rubbed off a little bit, that savage killer. When I was like, you know what, maybe that's why God brought him on the team, because I needed to let that savage killer, the real nightmare, back out. And after, you know, suffering knockout losses in 2017, I said, no. I said, I'm not going to shake this guy's hand anyway. This isn't about shaking hands. This isn't about showing respect. This isn't about being friends. This isn't about being the most respectful. This is about being the most vicious killer that you can in your mind, in your heart, in your training. And so when he kissed me on the nose, he did me a favor, because I knew when I wasn't going to shake his hand that people were going to come off, oh, Diego, look at him, he's disrespectful. Disrespectful. He didn't shake his hand. He didn't shake his opponent's hand. This is a sport after all. No, it's not a sport. This is war. This is fighting. And you know, get it right. You know, we might be going on the sports network, but this is fighting.
Diego, like earlier today, I saw you running through the hotel around like midday in a sweatsuit, like kind of psyching yourself up. Is that something you always do, and was this just trying to get the
You know, it's just going with the flow of the energy. You know, I had somebody, a real wise man, come into my life. This wise man came into my life, and when we first crossed paths, he asked me, he said, Diego, why Diego, why you never become champion? And I looked at him like, man, are you really asking me this question? Are you like just being disrespectful, or are you like really asking me this question? And I said, I had to think about it, look him in the eyes and be like, okay, you know. But he got my wheels spinning. He said, you need to get back to the Diego of the Ultimate Fighter. He said, you were hungry. You wanted that more than anything. You know, you were doing the mind, the yoga, the mind, you know, out in the storm. You know, that Diego, you got to get back to that, he told me. And so I thought about it. I didn't see him till the next time. Next time I saw him, he had another question for me. He said, Diego, who's the greatest warrior of all time? And I said, oh man, I'm not gonna let him mess me up on this question this time, because he got me last time. He really mentally wrecked me. I'm coming with my A game on this answer. I was like, had to be David. He killed thousands, tens of thousands. Had to be David. He said, no man, it's Jesus. He win the real fight. I'm like, man, he got me again. But anyways, to make a long story short, you know, I was getting back to me. me being Diego, call me the Zen master, call me the nightmare, call me the yoga, call me whatever you want. The reason why I've been able to stick around so long in this sport is because I am an adaptive man. I continue to adapt. I continue to keep the mind open to different ways of how can I anti-age? How can I naturally, I have been natural my entire career. My body shows it. Why am I around? It's because I wasn't like all those other guys that were cheating and doing juice and doing human growth hormone and got big old hands and big old knees and big old foreheads. No, I still look young. I still look like I did when I came into this sport. It's because I have found ways, secrets. God's blessed me with secrets of the wisdoms of the universe, how to anti-age naturally, with diet, with nutrition, with breathing, with meditation and prayer. And so this is why I'm around, and this is why right now at my point in my career, I've got back to that Diego with a little bit of that Perry Savage killer on the side.
Who was that wise man? Was it Mike Perry?
No, the wise man. The wise man was not Mike Perry. The wise man's a good friend of mine. His name is Jonas, and he's a come and kind of go. He's from Nigeria. He's an African Rasta man, but he really is a wise man. And if he don't even watch none of this, so he won't even he ain't even gonna see this. Maybe someone tells him. I think all he got is Facebook. So maybe if he sees it on Facebook.
Diego, I mean, you mentioned Mike Perry. You're an OG of the Jackson Wing Gym. Was it difficult for you just seeing all the back and forth that has been going on?
You know what? It has been. It has been a little difficult, just because I was so hyper focused on Craig White. And all of this happened within 10, 11 days before the fight with Craig. And me being a team captain and the real true OG, the one that started this, I started it. I opened the door to UFC, to Greg, to the original Jacksons before Cowboy was ever around. I heard in an interview, Cowboy say, yeah, Diego left. Yeah, I left for 2 years. But when I left, I said I had a meeting with Greg. I sat down with him and I said, Greg, I'm gonna go to California for a couple years. I'm gonna leave the team. I don't feel, my heart says, I didn't feel what was going on at that point. But I never ever talked bad about him. I never ever said nothing in the public. It was just a meeting. All right, I love you still. A hug, even, it hurt to leave. I still remember that feeling, that soul tie breaking. And, but with the whole Cowboy thing, I just was hurt because my coaches, Winklejohn and Chad Smith, are solid stand-up guys. And they really are. And that's why they're in my corner. I have a lot of other options, and they're in my corner. I know that at any point, my fighting career could come to an end. And I choose these men to go to battle with, to go to war with, because not only do I trust them, I love them, and they're brothers to me. So yeah, I was hurt. I was emotional in the beginning of everything, but at this point, there's other fights for me. Cowboy's got to fight Perry. It's gonna go down. I'm gonna watch, and I'm gonna help Perry train, be that good wisdom motivator for him, because he's a little bit on the wild side. He needs a little bit of, someone that was on the wild side, that realized, the wild side, only going to crash and burn eventually if you live on that wild side for too long. So, I'm looking to be that good influence in his life and help him get ready for his fight with Cowboy.
You mentioned the size difference tonight. Is that going to be a problem as you continue at welterweight, where you look to go down to lightweight?
You know what? Like I've been asking for years and years, 165 would be my division. We don't have it. I really wish that they would put every 10 pounds in the UFC, because these fighters are killing themselves and hurting themselves, and eventually, it's going to catch up. I'm very intrigued on the matchup tonight with Tyron Woodley and Darren Till. Both men had a very extreme hard weight cuts, but Tyron's 36 like me. We're both 36. At a certain age, your genetics play a part, but cutting the weight, it affects your endocrine system, your hormonal fatigue, and it affects you on so many levels. Everything's like a spider web when it comes to the human body. Your emotions, your mind, your body, your spirit, your nervous system, your immune system, all of this. And when you boil yourself, all the water out of your body, all the water out of your brain, when your brain's like 75% water, you boiling all this water out, the heat affects your energy system, and eventually it's going to catch up. Man, I like to use a terminology. When you're 25, you can go out and drink as much as you want, wake up in the morning, go hit the gym, no problem. But when you're 36, it don't work like that. It catches up. And that's just the old age, you know. Some people cellularly age different than others. Me, I'm a specimen, you know. I'm like the Iceman Wim Hof, I tell you, you know. I'm doing the alien stuff, you know. Like, I'm breaking into, like, you know, inject me with some E. coli and I'll show you, you know. like straight up. Like, I'm looking to be a superhuman. I've been training it for 15 years since I watched Rickson Gracie, who was, you know, on choke, and he was in the water in out there in Japan, you know, and it was freezing, and he didn't want to. His wife said, "No, you're gonna get sick." He said, "No, it's the energy, and everything is energy." And he knew that way back then, and even into his 50s, he was still dominating. He still was going to get a fight into his 50s. Then Randy Couture on The Ultimate Fighter with his alkalinity and just all the little secrets that he had. And he had it here, you know. He refused to say, no, I'm too old. If that's the first step is saying, no, I'm not old. When you flip the switch to, I'm young, put the young switch on, the body will follow the mind. You know, but you got to really believe it, because the subconscious mind is a different thing. If your subconscious mind is telling you something than your conscious mind, then you got this side fighting this side, you know. And I've been working at it, man. I've been working at it, and that's been one of my #1 passions in life is anti-aging, because I knew if I could learn how to anti-age, I could fight longer, and if I could fight longer, I have more time to get better, to fill holes in my game. And I didn't get to show you some of the holes that I filled because the guy was such a big, tall monster. But you know, I've evolved the kick game, and we're gonna work on closing the distance a little better next time. But you know, I'm not really hurt. I'm not hurt right now. You know, it got me with an up kick to the side of the temple, but this pit bull jaw right here, you know, it's all good. Like, it's nothing. I'm healthy.
Recently, last month, Tough Season 1 got together for a reunion of sorts. How did that go?
It was awesome. Love all those guys. The energy was exceptional. All these guys basically were just so happy for each other, you know, because what we all learned on that show was, you know, I might have been the only one, me and Forrest, that got crowned the Ultimate Fighter, but every one of those men on that show learned how to be an ultimate fighter of life. And every single one of those guys is doing good, and no one is dead, no one is, you know, sick, and we were just all happy to see each other, you know, some more successful than others, but you know, success is in the mind, you know. Success is, you know, you could be rich in a lot of ways, not just money. And all of us Ultimate Fighters were rich when we were hanging out with each other, happy for each other. The only one that didn't show up was Koscheck, and he said, if you ain't gonna pay me, I ain't gonna come. So he decided not to make it, and it was unfortunate. I was looking forward to seeing him.
What surprised you the most after seeing everybody?
You know, it it was just really cool to sit down with Mike Swick. He came all the way back from Thailand. He lives in Thailand now. He runs AKA Thailand. And Mike Swick's like, Diego, I tried so hard to be the last man standing, but you got me. You're the last man standing. And he gave me my props, said, you're the last man standing. I said, yes, I am. I'm the longest lasting, the last man standing, and you can put that on a meme.
Thanks, guys. Thanks, Diego.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you. I'm going to ice my head. It's not that bad, but got me with an up kick. Got me with a couple of kicks. Got some good up kicks.
Thank you.